Welcome back to episode number 3 of the Borne To Chat Shit podcast. I hope everyone who is listening or watching is very well. As always, guys, we are very grateful for your support. So if you can, continue keep sharing the podcast. I keep fluffing my words. This is the third time that we started this, so I ain't doing it fuck again, to be honest. If you can share the podcast onto your stories, if you're out for a walk, if you're listening whilst doing work, or listening before you go to the gym. Some people, weirdly enough, listen to podcasts whilst they train. You fucking weirdos. Who does that?
I used to do that.
That's weird.
No, I didn't used to listen to these type of podcasts, but I used to listen to like scientific educational podcasts before I was actually due for like my exams.
Okay, I can let that off. But if you're like imagine doing top set on a hack squat and then you're listening to us fucking that bullshit you're in.
Mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell.
Bullshit to all of that. So yeah, if you are listening or watching, please do share because it helps grow the podcast. And if you're on Spotify, please just go onto our page and just drop a little 5-star review, not a fucking 1-star like some dickhead did. And
we'll get diesel on you.
Yeah, we'll get diesel on you. We'll probably get mango on you because Diesel probably won't do anything other than just jump on you and put hair all over you. So let's start off with our date. So Vicky, how are we? What's been happening?
We are good. We are more positive today, actually. Had a little bit of a tough week. Physically, I think I was just dragging my ass over the last week, which is understandable. I'm in a diet, I'm pushing calories low, I'm pushing expenditure high, but I don't think it was the diet, and I kept on trying to explain that to you. I was like, it's not a diet type of fatigue, it was like a hormonal fatigue. And any female watching this that is around her menstrual cycle, sorry guys if you're getting uncomfortable with me talking about this, grow up. Grow up. It's a normal thing for females to happen. And I was just like so like hormonally drained. Not only that, I was like 5 days late for my period as well, and I was just like, oh my god, like I literally cannot move. I was so tired, and I know this sounds so dramatic, and I know I'm a dramatic person, but genuinely
she is.
No, I'm not. Okay, maybe a little bit, but I was right. I can see what you're doing there.
Just showing people my penis size.
Oh, go watch this on YouTube if you're not watching this on YouTube, so you know what he's referring to. But yeah, I just felt a little bit draggy, and I think with the fact that my cycle was a little bit affected, we decided just to pull back the next 2 days, so today and tomorrow, with what I'm doing. So we've taken cardio out for 2 days, and we've also just bumped my food up. I was very hesitant to do this, but George insisted, and the reason for that is because I feel like I've not earned my refeed, because I'm not lean, because I'm not shredded. I'm like, no, I can still dig, like I can do more, but I did this in 2022 and I drove myself into the ground. Yep. So 2 days in the grand scheme of things of pulling myself back, just allowing my cortisol to just chill out, tell my body like, you're going to be good, you're going to be fine. I think it's the right thing to do. So thank you for suggesting that and being persistent with it. Because I did see something on a story of someone, and I won't name names, but it did wind me up because it was all on about
names.
No, I actually didn't follow this person because I do not attract bad vibes into my life. But it was all about like refeeds, and you're all refeeding and that's why you're out of shape, blah, 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 blah. But you do not know the context of someone.
Yeah.
Like, for example, me in my 2022 prep, again, TMI, sorry, but I wasn't like shitting for like 7 days in a row. That is not normal. Like, that is not, I understand I wasn't eating much food, but that was not okay. And I was so bloated, I was so distended, and my body was just like I was gaining weight at this point. George was like, just refeed. I wasn't stage lean, I wasn't shredded. I refed, boom, my body just started responding again. So there's purpose of them, and even though I'm not shredded right now, I know this is the right thing to do.
The problem with Vicky nowadays is she's always had this mentality of she just needs to dig herself into a massive hole. And for me, when I saw her menstrual cycle like be a couple of days behind, this sort of like rang fucking alarm bells to me, and I'm like, right, okay, we're getting into positions now where Vicky's willing to fucking jeopardize her cycle just so she can lose weight. And obviously, from my perspective, obviously I don't know the ins and outs of what females go through obviously each month, but that's not fucking good, okay? We need to listen to our bodies. Even if you were 4 or 5 days late, that is a sign for us to go, right, let's not continue to dig. Let's actually pull back, reset. Let's feel good. You know, when I saw you have your cream of rice earlier, she hasn't had cream rice in the last like 12 weeks. She had a right smile on her face. She honestly, it was like literally watching a fat kid in a fucking candy shop. Honestly, it was like that, yeah.
So you're calling me fat then?
No, I'm not calling you fat, but but at the same time, what I'm trying to say is that do not continue running yourself into the ground. If you are seeing signs of your body telling you something's going wrong here, rather than just ignoring it. And this goes for anything in life. It's like people who see I don't know, they get a lump on their fucking, I don't know, a woman gets a lump on her breast, she just ignores it. You know?
This is true.
Fucking do something about it early doors, so you're able to actually fucking get rid of the issue quicker. That's the reality of it. Continuing to allow yourself to do that, you're just going to put yourself in the fucking ground. And this is what I was seeing from Vicki. Vicki was then going on her spreadsheets and debating what food change because she was making because she wasn't losing weight. I was sitting there going, what the fuck are you doing? You know, you're already on 1,400 calories on a rest day. You're already doing like 200 minutes of cardio per week. Like, what more can you do right now? And sometimes when you are digging the way you are, you sometimes need to go the opposite way. And whilst it's very hard to do the opposite thing that your brain is programmed to do whilst dieting, you then actually go, fucking hell, like, why didn't I do that ages ago? It's very similar. I saw it in 2022 when I used to see her prep and, you know, not going for shits for fucking 9 days in a row. Well, that's fucking useless. Honestly, it's absolutely useless. Like, you can't be doing that and expecting to be responding the way you want. I always say, this is a motto by the Georgie boy, write this down. A fresher physique is always going to be a responsive physique. And what's the opposite to that? A non-fresh physique, that's not the right term, is never going to respond the way you want it to. It's absolute facts. So if I've got a client, for example, and I'm going on here, but if I've got a client that wants to lose 40 kilos of scale weight, okay, it's a lot of fucking weight. I'm not going to make him lose 40 kilos in one go. I'm going to get him to lose his first 20, I'm going to get him to diet break, and then I'm going to get him to lose the next 20. You know, doing it in one go is just never going to be successful.
Absolutely.
It's like me travelling from the furthest point in the UK down to the southest point. It takes me about 6-7 hours to do. I ain't doing that in one go. So I'm going to run out of petrol. I'm going to fucking get tired. I'm going to be hungry. I need a piss or shit, whatever. Same rules apply with your body. So, yeah, she's been eating some good food today. I saw her cream of rice actually smelt the bowl afterwards because we had cookie dough, supplement needs.
Not food
cream
focused
of rice.
at all.
Well, not food focused at all. And then how you been feeling since you've only had 3 meals so far, so I'm not expecting miracles, but how are you feeling?
I mean, I don't know at the moment. I definitely feel more awake because on a rest day I don't have carbs until like 6 p.m. usually, so it's nice to have a little bit of carbs. It's nice to just have a little spring in my foot, and I'm at this point now where I'm just ready to dig. I've had a little bit of carbs, now I'm ready to dig. But no, George is very right. When it comes to me, I've always been like this. Even when it comes to my car, I'll have like, and a lot of people relate to me on this one, you'll just have lights popping up and I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna carry on driving. The same goes with my body. I'm not like this with anything else. Like if it came to you, if it came to any of my girls, I'm like, right, okay, bash, this is what we're changing. But when it comes to me, I have this like, it is an unhealthy mentality. It's like an unhealthy mentality of like, this is just like the negative part of my brain trying to make me give up, and I am stronger than it. Like, I don't know why. It's a very competitive thing that I have, but also this is, I remember in 2019, I think, it was 2019, I was really ill. I had like lower back pain and I was like, I just pulled my back in the gym or something. Started to get a little bit run down. I was like, it's just the common cold. And there was this one time where I was in bed and I was alone in Stoke. My mum was in Germany, my dad was somewhere abroad, and I was like, I was in my apartment and I was like, I do not feel well, ring 111. And I had an ambulance come and get me and I got sepsis because I just ignored all the signs. So I know that's my tendency. I'm like, you have a set of people that will have any excuse to not do certain things, whereas I'm the opposite, and I think both of those spectrums aren't necessarily healthy. So I'm very lucky to have George that's very blunt with me, and he's literally like, what the fuck are you doing? Yeah,
this is what you get with the Georgie boy. It's just straight up like stop what the fuck you are doing. And we've all been there. We've all been very guilty. Like the amount of times my car dashboard has lit up and I've just ignored it. Like one story actually, funny enough, I was in prep in 2019 and a cam belt basically is like a belt that goes around somewhere in the engine. Listen, I ain't got a clue about fucking cars, but long story short, my cam belt snapped because it snaps after a certain mileage or something like that, and my car back on my old Peugeot 107 was flashing going stop, and it went into something mode where I couldn't go over near 20 miles an hour, and I was like, what the fuck am I going to do here? And I was on the way to do cardio first thing in the morning. I was on prep and I was like, what am I going to do here? So I fucking just literally cruised my car at 20 miles an hour, had my hazards on. I went to Pure Gym, I did my cardio, and I was like, I'll just deal with it afterwards. And I regret dealing with it afterwards because I damaged the car, my little Peugeot 107, the blue one back in the day, if anyone used to follow my channel. And it cost me nearly the same fucking amount as the car is car's like probably 600 quid at the time. It cost about 400 quid to sort out the fucking engine because I fucked it over. So lessons learned there. If the cam belt breaks, get it sorted. After cardio though.
And if the health does as well,
cardio was more of a priority at that moment. And I just thought, oh fuck,
we've all done that.
I've got to think about it. You know when you go and do something, you forget about it and then fucking hell come back to it and like, oh god, no, my car doesn't even start, and I was stuck in bloody Pure Gym car park thinking, Dad, I call my dad, I don't know what to do. And I had to
this is George all over. He's not very good at like car stuff or like house stuff, and his dad is incredible. So
I'm not a DIY
if
man.
anything breaks in the house, I'm just like, can you just ask your dad, George?
Yeah, I'm not a DIY man. Like that stuff does not, like I once when I moved in with Jack Forburn and Barnsley, we went to IKEA and we bought loads of like a desk, like a chair put together, and I got so frustrated with it. I spent hours doing it. I got so frustrated that I just didn't fucking bother finishing it, and I had half a desk like finished.
Yeah,
and the drawer wasn't in properly, and I was just like, you know what, I just can't be fucked for it.
And what happened?
You sorted it for me.
Yeah, this is the first time. No, actually, this is the first time. Yeah, the first time I came to George's like house in Barnsley when he moved up. Like we were so new at this point. We were only like speaking for like a couple of weeks. I came into his room and I just saw this desk, and bear in mind I'm the opposite to George. Like I need everything done perfectly, and I was just sat there watching. He was speaking to me, trying to be flirty, trying to make his moves, and I was just like I need to do this desk. And I remember just sitting in your room and just finishing your desk, and you were just sat on your chair like, great. So this is not what I was expecting.
I was like, fucking hell, I've got like a woman actually doing what I should be doing here. And then that's why I knew you're the one.
I'll employ her.
That's how I knew you're the one. So has your training been good this week? Has it been a little bit up and down? Obviously, how you been feeling in terms of training this week?
I had one down day, I would say.
Yeah.
I've been going into my sessions like really tired, like not wanting to train. I usually get really like hyped for training, and I get in and then everything just seems so heavy. Again, so normal in your luteal phase, girls. Like if you're experiencing that tiredness, it is literally because your BMR, your basal metabolic rate, goes up. You burn more calories at rest. So that is why you're hungrier, and that's why you're more tired during this time. So that's how I felt. And yesterday I genuinely I was about to fall asleep before the session. I was like, I told you I was like, I'm not going to train.
Yeah,
I knew I was going to go train.
I knew as well. That's why I went, okay, Vicky.
Just went, okay. I was like, so he doesn't care. No, I didn't. But I just got up. I was like, whatever you do, if you feel shit, just go to the sauna and do something different. And I knew I was going to finish the session anyway, but I got in and I kid you not, I did my leg press set, I matched reps, was fuming about that. I was like, I didn't progress, great, it's gonna be a shit session. Yep. Again, stupid mentality. And I did my back off set, and I was like 5 reps up on my back off set for my leg press. I was like, sound okay, this is gonna be a great session. Progress on absolutely everything apart from that.
Yeah, you did a Smith machine squat and she comes over to me, I've added 10 kilos each side and 1 rep down. I'm like, it's still not good enough in Vicky's eyes. It's still not good enough.
No.
Even if it was 20 kilos plus
I tell
5
myself,
reps.
I literally gaslight myself when I train sometimes. I'm like, you pussy ass bitch.
you self-sabotage yourself massively when it comes to your training. It's never good enough. Even if it was a perfect set, there's always going to be something wrong with Vicky's training.
But it does keep me going.
Yeah,
it does keep me going.
Listen,
I think if it was like a negative, if I had a negative association with training because of that, I wouldn't do it. But me telling myself like it's not good enough at times, obviously not all the time, but at times is what drives me to be better. Yeah. And then my dad used to be the same. So my dad is a professional boxer, kickboxer, and also he competed in Taekwondo, world champ multiple times. Listen to the first episode of the podcast if you didn't know that. But he's always had that mentality. Like that's just what I've grown up around. It's kind of like you do something like to your 99%, but there's always that 1% better.
Yeah.
And I know that can be sometimes toxic because you never feel good enough. But I feel like I'm at that stage where I'm like, you know what? I've got, okay, I'm a first timer, right? I've got a decent physique for a first timer.
Sure.
There's still plenty more to go. But if I become too complacent now, I'm not going to get to where I need to be. I think there's a difference between like self-criticism and actually saying to yourself like, what I'm doing right now, there's always room to be better, but I am happy with where I'm at.
Yeah,
kind of thing. And I feel like that's where I'm getting to. So I'm proud, but I'm not satisfied.
Yeah, you've definitely improved in that aspect, because a lot of time when Vicky used to train, when she's went through a bad patch of injuries, she would just do literally one set on one exercise, the first exercise day, and she would just self-sabotage herself in telling her, oh, today's going to be a sit. And we've all been there. Like I've done that where I've had the first set of the day and it's not gone the way that I wanted to because I've not beaten logbook numbers, and I'm like, well, this is going to be a fucking shit session today. And then I just self-sabotage myself from there. I start talking to myself negatively, and I kind of like force myself to have have a bad session to kind of prove that right. When in reality, sometimes you're going to have good days, you're going to have bad days. Sometimes we start off slow. Sometimes we need to actually revisit what we were doing and go, you know what, let's just maybe go on the treadmill for 5 minutes, put a fucking good playlist on, read through your logbooks. Sometimes what I do now and what I've done in the past, which is a really good tip, I'm fucking going on a complete different subject, is I actually pre-write out my logbook numbers for that particular session. So I go in, and regardless of how I'm feeling, I write out what I am doing in terms of the exercise and the weight.
Do that.
I've done that many a times. I've especially done that in a prep as well, and it's worked wonders, because you're gonna have days where you wake up and it's just not gonna be there, and you're like, fucking hell, today's gonna be, you know, you do your warm-ups, it's heavy as fuck, you start like, oh, here we go, it's going downhill from here. But then when you start actually doing that, you go, well, regardless of what the fuck I'm feeling today, this is what I've told myself I'm gonna do before, so I'm gonna do it, and you'll be sometimes surprising yourself. Give it a go. Give it a go tomorrow.
See, I don't think that would work for me.
Well, you don't know until you try it, right?
Okay.
So,
okay, I'll try it tomorrow. And you guys try it tomorrow as well.
Yeah, and you guys, listen to this. Try it. See how you get on. And I promise you, your mind plays games on you when you're training. It always does. You know, you always try and find loops to self-sabotage yourself. I'm fucking terrible for it. I'm giving this advice out for free, and I only take this advice myself most of the fucking time anyway. I'm
well,
useless
listen back to the podcast ourselves.
But honestly, it'll make a huge difference, and it's something that I recommend my clients to do quite often as well, when they're, especially when they're dieting. When they're bulking, you're probably going to get 90% of progress anyway, regardless, but especially if you had a shit day or whatever, it definitely does help. So yeah, you know, considering, you know, with how things have been, you know, you've been pushing, I'm extremely proud of you. Like I said on my post on my story on Instagram yesterday, how, you know, you just keep turning up, you keep doing the do, and it will reward. I always say this every single time to anyone, you know, if you're doing the do, if you're turning up every single day, you're going above and beyond, you're doing the things that others aren't willing to do, and you're doing it consistently, it will reward massively, 100%. Yeah. So I'm grateful and very proud of you, pushing the way that you do. So keep going.
No, it's
and
nice
don't give
to
up.
hear.
But also, listen to me.
No, I do.
Yeah, you have, finally.
I do.
God, guys, trust me.
I do at times. And I think touching upon that as well, I know there's a lot of people out there that do try really hard with whatever that is. It doesn't necessarily need to be a diet. It could be like building muscle, or even translate it to other parts in your life where, for example, I needed to study way harder than other people to get to where I needed to be. I didn't have photographic memory ever. I actually needed to work really hard. It's going to reward, like George says. You might need to put in more work, but play with the cards that you're dealt with. At the end of the day, I know that my body is stubborn, given my blood work, of course, with the PCOS aspect of it, with the estrogen dominance. I know naturally it is going to be harder for me to lose weight, but if I give up right now, am I going to do it? No. So it is just a matter of like, okay, I might feel shit, I might feel upset, I might feel sorry for myself for 5 minutes, but then realistically, what's going to help me achieve those goals? Is it going to be giving up, throwing in the towel, having a hissy fit, going into victim mentality, or is it going to be saying, okay, right, this is the reality, this is where I'm at, what can I do about it moving forwards? And then comes in like the gratitude journaling. I'm still so grateful that even though I'm on low-ish foods, I can go to the fucking shop and get myself like anything that I like. I'm in a very fortunate position to be able to afford to do that. I was in Kenya for like 6 weeks. The kids were happy with nothing. Like, so there's that gratitude aspect that comes with it. So if you are in a similar position to me, it's the mindset that really does matter, because I could be sat here crying, being like, it's so unfair, but where's that going to take me? Absolutely nowhere. So that's a little bit of motivation, Wiki ready for today. Anyway, George, how are you doing? Because we have a very special announcement for you guys. If you've not watched George's YouTube or seen his Instagram, if you haven't, where the fuck have you been? I'm joking, but tell us all about your new announcement.
Yeah, so last week we spoke about me and Vicki are going to be prepping next year and blah, blah, blah.
Sorry, I'll interrupt you there. I actually had Rachel, one of my clients, message me. She was like, well, that reverse psychology didn't work. Yeah,
that was the original plan, but Vicki we woke up one morning and Vicki looked at me and gone, why do you step in a show this year? And I was thinking, to start off with, like, I've always, 2019, I knew way beforehand I was prepping, and obviously 2022, I knew way beforehand I was prepping, and I was like, I've not really felt like I've been in the prep mindset in this diet. Like, I've said to you before, I said on my YouTube as well, like, if I go like a gram or two over my honey or whey protein or whatever, like, I'm not bothered about, you know, I'm not prepping, so I'm not really caring about that. Whereas if I was in a prep, I'm like, right, okay, I'm remaking that meal again, you know. So I was a little bit, when you said to me, I was a little bit hesitant to actually go into it, because I feel like I haven't been dieting. It's been relatively easy for me at this point. And for me, I've always had to be in that prep mindset of, you know, this fucking thing that we see on social media is like, you be the best version of yourself, give it absolutely everything. You've got to commit lock in, you know, you've got to fucking commit your whole life to it and stuff like that. And whilst there are elements to that, which I do believe to get into contest prep shape is like, when you're very, very lean, you have to get more off. There is, right, okay, I need to fucking switch this on now and really dig deeper. But at the same time, like, I've proven this year in this diet especially that, you know, we went out for your birthday, had sushi whilst we was dieting. If I was in a if I knew I was prepping, the chance of us doing that would have probably been quite low, right? But I've proven that, okay, if I manage that day and manage those days around it in terms of maybe doing a little bit more cardio, maybe bringing down my food on that day, or maybe doing an extra bit of steps, you know, I can fit that sort of thing in. And whilst I'm not a big advocate of doing that myself, I'm not just going to freely go out now and just eat sushi or whatever. It's proven that regardless of that, you can still lose weight, especially at the earlier stages of a diet, rather than, you know, close to a show. I probably wouldn't do anything like that, of course. But at the same time, like, for me, it's just kind of like, wow, actually, okay, cool. This year, I'm actually proving to myself that I don't need to be in the same mentality as what I have been over the last couple of years, because don't get me wrong, I love that mentality of the fucking locking in and like committing 6-8 months of your life to being super, super strict. But it does leave an element of misery, you know, it does leave you feeling a type of way. And I certainly believe that not everyone needs that mentality to get into a really good shape. So when Vicki said it to me, I was a little bit like, I'm not sure whether I should go into it because I haven't really given it my absolute all. But I went, you know what, like, I'm in decent shape right now. Obviously, there's still a decent amount to come off. Let's just go for it. Let's just try and do something different to what I've ever done before and learn a little bit more about myself, because I certainly believe in every prep that you do. This is my third prep now. You always learn more about yourself. And I think for me now, what I've learned is that, okay, I don't really need to be, I can sort of freestyle and still get into pretty good shape. I remember in 2022, like when I was like 8 weeks out, I was like, this has been very, very easy until this point. Then the next 8 weeks was the hardest bit for me. And same here, you know, this diet, I've got into pretty good, decent shape. You know, I could step on stage now, really. And yeah, okay, I won't be very conditioned, but it'd still be decent enough to step on stage, right? And it's been a piece of piss, you know. I've not really had one day that I've struggled ever. So
we're two polar opposites.
Yeah, so two polar opposites.
But I think what you said, which was really interesting, you said it brings quite a lot of misery. I don't think necessarily that is the case. For some people it is. For some people it does bring misery if they're not doing bodybuilding for the right reasons. I don't think it brings misery for you, because I genuinely do think that you love that aspect. I think you tell yourself you're miserable because that's what you think is associated with a good athlete. And I think this is where the toxic energy in bodybuilding sometimes comes in. And initially what pops into my head is these like YouTube videos, the black and white introduction, like head down, all of that. Like, I get that's what you need to, all of that to lock in. Sometimes it does cringe me out. Watch me have one of those montages for my own show. But nevertheless, like it doesn't have to be like miserable. Like you can still have the not the balance, because balance obviously is always going to tip towards the deficit and the prep, but you can have enjoyment out of it. Sure, it should be an enjoyable process, because at the end of the day, it's your hobby. It's not your job. It's your hobby. And even what I've noticed, and I was speaking to my mum about this, shout out mum if you're watching this, we were actually chatting today, doesn't matter. We were chatting today. I was going to tell you about the whole fucking story because I overshare. But we were talking about you actually going into a show this year, and she was like, "How are you feeling about it?" Because of course, last time it was difficult, especially towards the end. And I was like, "Do you know what? I have no concern, because the last week when we'd already decided George is going to prep, immediately I was like, right, okay, he's going to flip. Like, I'm going to be sort of like pushed to the side, which I completely understand. I'm fine with, because at the end of the day, like, this is going to be his couple of weeks. I'm going to do everything to support him during this time, because I get it. Like, I get it, and I know he would do the same for me." But we were like just chilling on the Sunday, and Georgia was like, "Why didn't we go to the beach?" And I was like, "Huh?" Like, I was literally like, I was so confused. I was like, the gym? He was like, no, the beach. And I was like, yeah, sure, like, why not? And George just like took us and the family. Well, I say the family, we don't have kids, so we've got the dogs, they are our children. We just drove an hour and a half to Liverpool to be on a beach for an hour and a half, and drove back. And I was thinking, he would never ever do that in a previous prep. No, never. Or even like going to the shed, you know, traveling to a different gym. You wouldn't usually do that ever, because you need to logbook, because you need to make sure you're progressing, because you need to make sure your routine's booked in. You have been it is not flexible, as in like you're not ticking the boxes, because you're ticking all of the boxes anyway. Like, we went to the beach, you still did your steps, still got your meals in, still didn't go off plan, but you have that flexibility to say, do you know what, I can do these things whilst achieving my goals. And I love that. It's really, really nice to be around. So
yeah, definitely. I think that's a huge learning curve for me over the last couple of years, to be honest with you. I shut myself off massively in preps and become a dickhead, when reality is, like, you should make, in my opinion, more of an effort to do those sort of things when being in a prep setting, because it's very easy to, you know, ruin relationships. I've coached many people who have ruined their relationships whilst prepping. I know many people that have done that, and I think it's fucking stupid, you know. And we spoke about that last time about relationships and bodybuilding, and how people allow the preps to affect their relationship. It should complement your relationship at the end of the day. So yeah, it's definitely been a huge learning experience for me, and I don't want to change that. I still want to be 1 week out and you know, doing things like we do right now. It doesn't change just because I'm 1 week out from a show, you know. I think it's even more important at that point, you know, rather than, you know. And even for me, whilst being in prep, like you know, when you are dieting, and obviously Vicky, you can relate to this, like, you're always thinking about, like, are you doing enough? Are you lean enough? Am I going to be on track? You know, you always are in this constant state of just like overthinking, that even just like actually doing something that, like, I didn't think about bodybuilding once when we went up to Liverpool the other day. I just fucking focused on just the day and just enjoying it with the family, the dogs, and being at the beach and just enjoying just being in that moment, you know, getting a little bit burnt on the old fucking beach, and just being that sort of moment, you know. I didn't think about bodybuilding once, so it was a really good way for me to sort of switch off. And I think it's actually really important that to, you know, learn how to switch off, because I've never been able to do that in my whole entire life, to be honest with you. And
that lowers your stress levels and actually makes your body respond way, way more than if you were to fucking lock in and not go.
100%. Yeah. So yeah, we haven't actually decided what show I am going to be doing yet. Previous preps, I've always known exactly what show that I'm doing. I've always counted the weeks, so I'm 20 weeks out, 16 weeks out, 12 weeks out, 8 weeks out. But this year I've just gone, wherever I land in terms of, okay, I'm happy with this look, the conditioning is where I want it to be, what shows are around this sort of time. I've never done that before, and for me it just like alleviates a little bit of pressure as well, because when you are 6 weeks out, you start then seeing people who are on social media, and you see they're 6 weeks out and go, oh fucking hell, like he's got more condition than me, and I'm behind and I need to speed things up. It really fucks your head sometimes. Some people do thrive off that, and I certainly have before in the previous time, knowing that I'm 6 weeks out, right, fucking hell, I'm 6 weeks out, you know, dial in, motherfucker, that sort of thing. But at the same time, like, I'm just gonna, yeah, whatever, what will be, what will be. If I'm ready by that time, I'm just gonna do that show and see where I land. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how.
shows in mind.
Vicky has a few shows in mind, and we've had a look at the calendar, and we've kind of got an idea, but again, we've not actually fully confirmed what show we're going to be doing. So yeah, completely different sort of set up, to be honest with you.
The question is, are you gonna, when we eventually decide on a show, are you gonna announce it, or are you just gonna turn up?
I'm gonna announce it. Because,
okay, so everyone that's listening better turn up at the show, or else.
Because I do, weirdly enough, people do want to come to the shows and people do want to support. I've had it every year that I've competed, where I have a group of people that turn up and want to come and support it. So
nice.
I know it's actually incredible to actually think about that. Someone's turn up and watch me step on stage in my trunks.
Yeah, we got really emotional after Arnold's when so many people came to like speak to us as well. I was like, this is so nice.
It's crazy the power of social media and actually how it can have an effect on people. And I think I'm just some average fucking twat that just swears way too much and says what it is, and uploads YouTube videos about my life. Like, I didn't expect this to happen, you know. I didn't want it to happen, but it just has happened, you know. So I definitely will announce it, because I feel like people, not that people, if you want to come, you can come. If you don't want to come, I'll record it anyway. So,
so you're gonna watch it.
So yeah, no announcements yet, but things are moving pretty well. Like, I had a refeed on the weekend, which was really nice, to be honest with you. My scale weight budged about 0.2 over the 2 days of eating like 3,200 calories. So that was it did its job, I guess, because the scale weight went up a little bit.
Do you feel fresher?
I do feel fresher, yeah.
Do you feel fuller?
Yeah, no, I don't feel fuller, to be honest with you. But I feel fresher for sure. And then since then, my scale weight's come near, you know, this is like 4 days since then. It's came near enough back down to its lowest, so I can imagine. Look leaner. But I look better. And this is the problem, like with being assisted, to be honest with you. It's been a real head fuck in terms of like, you know, your scale weight doesn't move, but you look better for it. Like you kind of like have to, as being assisted, compared to being natural, I was always fixated on scale weight, always chasing lows, new lows. But the assisted aspect of things is like, okay, you could be a kilo heavier or maybe even 2 kilos heavier, but you look fucking way better for it. And for me, that's a massive head fuck because I'm never used to chasing the look. Obviously, I chase a look to a certain extent, but it's a case of, well, if the scale weight's not reflective of that, it doesn't mean, you know, you're not chasing
a scale weight, you're chasing a look. That's what you're trying to say.
Yeah. I found so far, you know, with just an example here, if I do an injection, I wake up the next morning and I'm probably going to be heavier, but I look better for it. And it's just like such a head fuck, you know. But that's the learning aspect of doing this. You know, this is my first assisted prep. Obviously, Vicky's looking after me in terms of, you know, educating me on that aspect and you know, just taking the reins of the prep. Obviously, I can prep myself realistically, but it's always nice to have someone that I trust's opinion. And that's what I say with preps is just have like a small circle, because you get these uneducated people who comment on your post saying, oh, you're definitely going to win, bro, you're in such good shape, when reality is they know very little about it. And that then sort of kind of gives you like, I remember in 2019, like people telling me, how did you not win, how did you not beat this person? I'm thinking like, one, you wasn't there, and two, like these are the reasons why this person beat me. And sometimes it does like fuck with your head when people tell you, yeah, this and that. So having a small circle of people that you trust that know about bodybuilding is, in my opinion, super important. So very grateful, Vicky, for keeping my head screwed on throughout this prep, as it's been a breeze so far, to be honest with you. I've been really enjoying it. So yeah, rest day today for us. We always record it on a rest day because it kills a little bit of time, obviously, whilst we're normally at the gym. A bit lower food today, so I normally notice that I'm a bit hungrier than what I usually would be, but I can imagine tomorrow hopefully we'll get a new low, touch wood. Touch wood. So yeah,
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's the look. It does matter. It does matter. So hopefully, fingers crossed, things will be moving smoothly. But yeah, to be honest with you, it's pretty easy right now. We had a good session at the shed. You know, that was so phenomenal
good.
Gym. First time we've ever been there, to be honest with you. I'm surprised I didn't go there a lot earlier when they first opened. Maybe because it's like an hour and 45 minutes away and it's a bit of a trek. We made the decision as to whether we go to either Ultraflex Rotherham or the shed. Obviously, we've been Ultraflex Rotherham plenty of times before, and the last time I went there, the vibe was just a little bit different. Like when I used to live up in Barnsley and I used to train out there full time, honestly, the atmosphere, the vibe was incredible. But then when we went up there like a year later, I was just like, something doesn't feel right. It just feels like a very bitchy sort of, give me bitchy Benoist sort of vibes, and everyone's sort of fake, if you know what I mean. So we decided to go up to the down to the shed, and what a gym that is. The only downside to it is they don't let you record, which is fucking annoying. So
I got into my head, I was like, we're moving, we're moving, this is where we're going, and I'm going to buy a house, and I was on Rightmove straight away. But then I was like, actually, you know, this is what you do for your job, and we won't be able to record unless you do voiceovers every single time, because they allow you to record with a camera, but you can't speak into the camera. So that's the only annoying thing. But it was a really good gym, amazing kit. For me, it was amazing because I get really, really hyped by like extrinsic motivation. I've got a lot of internal motivation, of course, but when I'm turning around and I can see like James, oh my God, huge guy, and I'm going onto the swing squat. God, that was a mouthful. I'm thinking, I can't be a little bitch here if he's looking at like that next to me. I was like, I need to impress. I have this thing of like, I need to impress, and then I like outperform myself, and it was just so good. So good.
It was mad seeing James when you see these people online. Like, he's 300 pounds. He put actually a photo of his scale weight this morning, 304 pounds, something like that. So when you see like these people online, you obviously know they're big, but when you actually see them in person, you don't actually realise how big these guys are. And like I've said, I would never wanted to aspire to be 300 pounds myself, but I do use that as a form of motivation.
Of course, because they're doing things that other people aren't.
And just seeing him, you know, lift weights like it's fucking nothing, and you're thinking, I can't even do that for one rep, you know.
Here I am getting into the zone, all serious, with my like 1.5 plates per side. So and he's probably fart that out.
Literally. So it was nice to actually be in an environment which is, you know, everyone everyone had their logbooks, everyone was wearing the trained by JP oversized, the GAR stuff, you know, the typical sort of like the progressive overload logbook guys that we, you normally see.
I love it.
Yeah, I loved it, to be honest with you. It was great. It was clean, was tidy, spacious as well. It was a little bit smaller than I actually thought it would be compared to what I've seen online, but I mean, that wasn't a problem, was it? Let's be honest. So yeah, had a really good leg session there, and just enjoyed something a little bit different for the day as well, which was nice. So yeah, I've waffled on for about 20 minutes about how my fucking week's been. It's been sound. So yeah, good week in the book. So Vicky, what's the topic of today's video?
So I thought a good topic for today's video will be kind of why are we competing, or why are you competing, and is your why actually for you, or is it an external factor that might not necessarily cause you happiness?
Sure.
Deep. But I thought that would relate really, really nicely, because I actually saw like someone comment on one of your photos that I've been tagged in, like, oh, why are you rushing into competing, blah, 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 blah. And I know there's also going to be a lot of people that might be watching shows right now and suddenly become really eager to step on stage. And yeah, I just thought that would be a really good topic. So basically, do you actually love competing, or the idea of it? So why don't you start talking about your why for competing?
So my why for competing is I love the challenge. I love expressing myself in a different way, because I really thrive underneath like the routine, the structure, the discipline, the end sort of goal, and stepping on stage, and forget about the trophies and all that sort of crap. It's actually a case of, wow, okay, I actually proved to myself that I've done something that not many people who go to the gym can do. And for me, it's a good opportunity for me to really sort of shine. I mean, at the end of the day, like, yeah, I don't really know how to say towards that, to be honest with you. It's just me in my element. When I went in and prep, I'm just like, yeah, this is fucking sick. Yeah, that's my why. I don't know what else to say on that front. Do
you feel like any of your competing has stemmed from maybe an insecurity?
What, an insecurity in terms of?
Anything. Do you think maybe your why has changed over time, or has it always been the same? I think it's always been the same, to be honest with you. I don't think it's ever been for getting other people's validations, because yeah, I noticed in recent years a lot of people compete because others are competing, and I especially see this with guys who have like been training for like 2 years or even a year, and they're like, I want to compete next year, and I'm thinking, you've not really put in any sort of work to actually display that physique that you want to on stage. So you're better off just enjoying bodybuilding, finding the lifestyle for you. And then if you, like for example, I committed to 5 years of bodybuilding before I even thought about stepping on stage. And I really just found that this was my life. This was my passion. This is something that I want to do and try and take it as far as I can, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I think how I approach things, I think for me, it was in the right sort of way, It was, okay, cool, I've actually figured that I love this sort of shit. I'm going to challenge myself in a different way, and I did that, and I got the itch to do it again. I think that's what most people do. About 90% of people, to be honest with you, as soon as they step on stage, they just want to do it again and again, to be honest with you. So yeah, I'd like to say that I did it for myself, for sure. I don't really get any, because I've never had the most impressive physique out there. I certainly never will. Why put yourself down?
No, but you know what I mean. Like, I'm not here. Okay. Yeah, that's just self-sabotage talking.
There we go.
But yeah, I do it for myself, because I just thrive off those sort of elements, to be honest with you. So yeah, that I hope I asked you a question. No, it's quite a hard one for me.
It is a thought-provoking question.
Yeah, it is.
I guess for me, the reason why I first started to compete is definitely not for the right reason, and it was because my friend competed, and I was like, oh, I think I want to do this. I like the idea of it, and I was like, I'm going to compete. So I'll straight off the bat, is that the saying?
Yeah,
straight off the bat, say that initially, like, I don't think the reason why I started competing was a good one, and that is why I'm so like passionate about this sort of subject and this whole topic, because I definitely rushed into competing very, very quickly, because I was so oblivious and naive to it. I thought, oh yeah, okay, well, I am going to diet after a couple of months of training, and I'm going to look like that, and that is peeled, big muscles, round glutes, etc. But that's just not the reality of things. And when I went into my first prep, when I went into the first off season, I actually got a coach for the first time. That is when I started falling in love with the process. I thrive off routine. I do definitely think I've got autistic tendencies, and I 100% need to kind of get checked for this. But it's not even a joke. I'm actually being genuinely serious, because my parents, again, if my parents listen to this, they will vouch for this. Mum, Dad, put it in the comments down below. I have always been such a routine kid, and anything that went outside of my routine, I would just have like the biggest like hissy fit with whatever that was. I like to eat the same foods. I like to drink the same foods. I would, like, say for example, I went to a restaurant, I would never know what to pick because that's so like outside of my routine. And I thought maybe that's an eating disorder, but it wasn't. It was just like I liked what I liked, and I liked knowing what I'm doing in the gym, and it just having that structure. And I always loved training no matter what, because before bodybuilding I was a competitive gymnast for years on end, and obviously I grew up around sports as well, so I knew that's what I loved to do. But yeah, I kind of got into that with my first coach. I started like, it never came as a chore to me. She was just like, here's the plan, here's the food, this is what you're doing. Sound okay? I would be like that client that would just like check in, and that's it. And then my plan's given, and then I would check in and the week after. It wasn't like a problem. It wasn't like a, like, I don't know. If anything, I remember, because I was coached by Erin, shout out Erin, adore her. But she started me off on quite high volume, and the way that she worked at the time was, of course, if someone's new to training, you typically give them a little bit more volume because most likely they're not hitting failure. Now, I initially went into training and I hit failure. Like I went past failure already, like straight off the bat.
No wonder you're broken.
And I remember she gave me a plan, and there was so many exercises in that one session. And I didn't say anything to her because I was like, well, coach told me to do this, so I'm going to do this. And there came a point where my recovery is so bad, and I was like, Erin, I'm really struggling with this session. And she was like, can you send me over like some training clips? And I sent her over a training clip. She was like, we are reducing volume if we're training like this. Like, you're an absolute nut. But what I'm trying to say by that is I was just like, as soon as I got into bodybuilding, I was like, this is for me. And then I did my prep, again, thrived off that, loved the routine. And even though I was doing my medical school finals, I was living alone here in the house with Mango, so I had a dog to take care of. I had 2 jobs on the side. I was doing my bodybuilding prep. For some reason, it just made me feel more and more motivated. And I just, not even motivated, but it gave me a sense of purpose, and it really allowed me to work on myself. And the other thing as well, for my why, which has changed over time, is that bodybuilding is such an extremity, and it's extremely challenging, and it will challenge you in more ways than just being hungry or feeling full in an off season or the failure point. It genuinely, like with the blips that I've had with my health, whether that's my herniation of my disc or whether that's been my hormonal kind of status right now, linked with bodybuilding, it's made me really have a focus on myself, but also put myself in a scenario where I almost need to change and adapt to a more positive mindset. Does that make sense? So
yeah, it does.
I actively throw myself into hard situations because I know that's where I grow and I come out of it stronger. So I like that side of bodybuilding, and I've never stepped up on stage ever. And I don't need to know that I love bodybuilding, because I love the push-up phases, and I love the dieting. No matter how hard it is, no matter how much I need to drag, I know this is for me. And I think that is why also my why for competing is, I don't think it's related to competing just as it is, but it's more so bodybuilding, which is why I also know competing is for me. And I know I know the reason why I love competing is because I did gymnastics, and that's literally me in a little leotard showcasing my tricks on like a mat, you know.
Yeah.
That's what I did. It's just the difference is in heels on stage, and you're throwing poses instead of throwing backflips. So that aspect of it, I love showcasing. I love doing my makeup, I love doing my hair, I love that. But that's only like a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes on stage in the grand scheme of things. So yeah, I guess the reason why I wanted to, again, do this podcast was because I wish that I could tell my younger self what bodybuilding actually is. And it's not just you diet and you step up on stage. It's a really lengthy process. And yes, okay, it's glamorous to see yourself, for girls, you know, in heels, in a nice bikini, hair done, makeup done, all of that looks glam, but there's so much more that goes behind it. So when you actually think about competing, you shouldn't be thinking about those 5 minutes on stage. Yeah, okay, use that as motivation. Yeah, look at those top athletes and aspire to be like them. But also ask yourself, are you going to love the day-to-day life of what it actually takes to get you to that spot? Because when I got lean in 2022, I already had a decent physique. I would say for someone that didn't train or didn't have a long off season, I had capped out, I had really good lats, I had a lovely figure shape, and I think I could have done very, very well in that year. But I didn't give myself enough time to have the physique that I wanted. So I said to myself, yeah, I can compete this year. I probably could have given myself 2 weeks and stepped on stage, realistically. I did get to that level of first time lean, I call it. And I decided not to do that because I was like, I know I love the process now, and now it's time to come back better. And it was that day-to-day life that I loved so much, which is why I know competing is for me, because it isn't about the bikini. It's about challenging myself and going through those motions. And when you feel like you're going to be complaining and feeling shit about something that you choose to do, let me remind you, because it's a choice, it's not a chore, then it's adjusting and flipping that mindset to be grateful and have resilience and have determination and just be like an overall better person. So kind of, what would you say the red flags of people's why are? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Obviously validation for other people is a big one. I think, if you're trying to, get people's approval by stepping on stage and looking a certain way or getting a certain amount of likes on social media or whatever, then I think you're doing it for the wrong reasons. I would also say, I think that's the main one for me, actually, to be honest with you. I was trying to think of others there, but that's the only one that springs to my mind. Yeah,
so one I would agree is like external validation. So validation from other people, growing your social media. If you're doing it to grow your social media, if you're doing it to, I don't know, feel sexier, believe me, you will not feel sexy by the time. No, it goes the opposite way. Yeah. If you're doing it to think that you're going to look better and like yourself more, if anything, it's most likely going to go the other way, because you're going to see yourself at a level of lean that's not sustainable. You're going to have to go back. So I would say that's one. Another one is for business purposes. Yeah. And I don't know if you're going to agree with me on that one, but I know a lot of people go into compete and they compete once so they can run a business or have some pictures.
Or become a coach.
Or become a coach. No, like what are you? There's so many other ways that you can become an incredible coach. Do a fucking photo shoot prep. Like, you do not need to step up on stage and drive your health that far into the ground just for a marketing scheme, I guess. Yeah, 100%. If you're already a coach, it's going to serve in your favor, especially if you're going to want to coach competitors. But there are coaches out there that are competitor coaches that have done so much learning, so much research, have so much experience in the field that they've not competed before.
Yeah, or very rarely do,
Yeah.
So, yeah, I agree on that.
So that's another one. Another one is, can I say that?
Your face. Go on, say it.
If you're masking an eating disorder.
I was literally going to say eating disorder.
Yeah, if you're masking an eating disorder, if you've got an active eating disorder, whether that's binging or restricting or both, don't dive into bodybuilding. And I'm not going to say don't ever do it. Don't ever do bodybuilding, and I think you would disagree with me on that one, because I've come from a background of binge eating and I've not done that since 2020, despite if anything, actually my relationship with food has improved since I've done bodybuilding, but that's because I've done a lot of internal self-work for years. But if you're actively in an eating disorder and you have active binges, active restriction, you get scared of eating food, you just can't control that relationship, don't do it. You're going to do yourself such a disservice. And bodybuilding, it doesn't cause eating disorders. I know a lot of people are bodybuilding, like all of the people that have been bitten on the ass because they've not done bodybuilding for the right reasons, and then going out on social media saying bodybuilding's shit and bodybuilding's this and bodybuilding's that. No. If you're going into it with already negative mindset towards yourself and towards the other things that are related to bodybuilding, and you're digging yourself into more of an extreme of that, of course you're going to come out the other end injured, upset, broken.
Yeah, I agree on that.
So get yourself into a good spot, and it can still happen further down the line. Or actually, what you might realize is if you get yourself into a good spot food-wise, you might never want to compete again. And that's then showing you that you weren't competing for the right reasons.
Yeah, sure, I agree.
So,
I think one other thing that I sort of crossed my mind as well was I think I've seen it before with potential clients or people that inquire about coaching, and they're like, okay, yeah, like, I can barely stick to a routine, but I want to compete this year. And I'm just like, it's just not going to happen, mate. Like, the foundations, I think that's a red flag for me. I'm thinking, well, you can barely stick to the plan right now and you've got no pressure of competing. How's that going to get any easier whilst dieting, you know?
Yeah, or people like, I want to compete because I want to have a focus.
Yeah.
So someone completely out of routine, and they're like, well, I want to compete because I want to get back on plan.
Yeah.
No, because all that's going to happen, yeah, okay, maybe you'll stick to plan for those couple of weeks, but what happens after that plan's gone?
Yeah, of course.
And this is something I am very, very big on as a coach, and when I coach people, because I don't just care massively about getting you from point A to point B when you're on stage and presenting your physique. What I care about is after, not just your physical health, but also your mental health. That period is so much harder than prep is. Yeah. Like, even when I was reversing out, I was like, fuck, do you know what? I am a strong person here. Like, I'm mentally resilient. I've done a lot of therapy when it comes to, but it goes past mental, and a lot of it is physiological as well. So you have physiological urges to binge or to feel guilty or anxious or whatever that may be. So it's what happens after. And very commonly what you see is when people jump into this all or nothing mentality, and they go from absolutely nothing to tracking all the time, being like, yeah, this day, like this goal, I'm going to get there. They get there, and then they're like, fuck, like, I have no extrinsic motivation now, and they haven't built that intrinsic one, and then their life just comes crashing down, and you go from here to here, which is something that's really, really scary.
Quite
I
common,
would say.
actually, that.
Yeah.
Quite common, that one. I think my last point is actually, like, loving bodybuilding. I know it sounds so, like, just basic, but there are many.
This is a green flag.
No, this could be a good.
This is a green flag. We're translating. Translating to green flag.
Okay, people who don't love bodybuilding for what it actually is. You know, I think that's the red flag. So, you know, if someone's just like, I just go to the gym, like why compete? Like, why bother? It kind of goes back to all the points that you've just spoken about, like putting your body underneath the crazy amount of stress. Relationships, children, that sort of stuff. It's just like, why sacrifice all of that just to kind of step on stage, just to get a plastic trophy on your fucking shelf?
And I think that's it as well. Like, just because, and this is what I remember speaking to someone, I can't remember who it was now, but just because you don't end up stepping up on stage, it doesn't say anything like bad about you as an athlete. It doesn't mean you're any less disciplined or any less determined, or you don't have a good enough physique. It doesn't mean anything like that. Like, bodybuilding is just such or actual competing is such a minute part of bodybuilding. You don't actually need to do it. And you can still be an incredible athlete. You can still be super disciplined. You can still eat a meal plan or stick to your macros every single day, and you still can get lean, but you don't need to get absolutely shredded for 5 minutes on stage if that is not what you truly want to do. And this is something, again, if a book to recommend is Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty. It has like a purpose, like, why are you doing what you are doing? And yeah, we're talking about competing right now, but it goes for any other aspect of life. Like, I had to ask myself this when it came to my junior doctor trainer, like, why do you actually want to do this? Does it actually cause you to be happy? Does it allow you to grow? Is it in line with your values? Or are you doing it to put a smile on other people's faces whilst making yourself miserable? Or are you doing it for external validation?
And the final point from me, which can be quite controversial for me, a red flag, is finances.
That's a good one.
Finances is an underrated one, in my opinion, because there are so many people that want to compete and want to dive into it, but they don't actually realise how expensive it is.
Yeah.
Like, tanning, shows, like, for most shows nowadays, you need to get a yearly membership, and then you need to sign up for the fucking show. So take your money by taking the yearly membership, sound, and then you need to then pay the price for the
actual show.
Actual show. It's a joke, isn't it, to be honest with you, when you actually think about it. Mugging fuckers. And then the tanning, like 70 quid a spray tan. then if you're traveling, if you're going up and down the country, Airbnbs, food, makeup for
hair,
female, bikinis, yeah,
450,
trunks.
£500.
Yeah.
How much are trunks?
Depending, like, it could be vary from like 50, 60 quid.
Oh, well, that's
for little.
Yeah, but a bikini.
For a little pair of trunks, I think that's
God.
absolutely criminal, to be honest with you.
I'd love to get sponsored one.
And coaches as well. You know, coaching is a huge expense for a lot of people. So I think for me, finance as well, like, actually question, are you in a good spot to commit to something like that? Because I have, funny enough, coached people who have said they're committed to it, but then they'll get halfway through the prep and say, I might have to pull out this prep and pull out of this because I can't afford it anymore. And I was just thinking, like, fair enough, that's a problem. It's totally fine. It's not an issue at all with that. But I think if you're going into something like this, like, be prepared that it is a huge expense.
Well, that's a good episode to do, actually. We'll cover that in a different podcast. The cost of competing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that will be a good one. So, I think we've covered quite a lot there. I'm not sure how long this podcast has gone on for, to be honest with you. We've had a few sort of blips in the recording. For some reason, the camera fucking overheats if it records for longer than 40 minutes, which is very frustrating. So you may have seen...
too hot to handle.
Yeah, we're just too hot to handle. Good program, that, actually. Is that a program?
Yes, it is.
What program's that, then?
The one where all, like, sexy people that can't stop shagging other people get put on an island and then they're on a sex ban.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah, the last one that we actually watched wasn't great, was it? But the other ones are pretty good, to be honest with you. So yeah, we'll round it up here. I hope everyone has enjoyed today's podcast. Like I said to begin with, if you are listening, watching, please do share to your social medias. It's very much appreciated.
Tag us as well in your stories. We'll reshare always.
Yeah, always.
No, it genuinely means the world to us because we started this podcast and we thought, it's not gonna go far, but there's been such a positive response, and with every single episode we want to provide value. Like, we'll have a little chit chat, a little bit of a catch up, exclusive update as well on us, but we want to provide you guys with actual value, so you step away from these podcasts and either learn something or have a different perspective on things as well. I think that's a big one for me. Get
you thinking a little bit more, and we keep it real around here. There's no bullshit. What you see is what you get, and that's what I hope to get from these podcasts as well, is just like you're listening to two friends who are just making your day that bit better. That's what I'm hoping for as well. So yeah, guys, please, as always, rate the podcast on Spotify, like it on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel, just hit over 1,000 subscribers as well, so big up. Like the video, I think I've already said that. Subscribe. I don't know, you never know how to end these sort of things, do you? I'm fucking useless at this.
Just give us some love.
Of course, anything that you guys want to see in particular, drop us a message, let us know. We would love to implement some of the things that we've got. The next podcast, actually, we're going to be recording with my client Ryan, who's competing this weekend. So what we're going to do is get a bit more of an insight regarding first time competing, and Ryan's going to take you through his journey all the way back to 4.5 years ago when I first met him. So that will be a different episode that you guys can look forward to, especially if you guys who are looking to compete, you get the real deal. So we'll be looking forward to seeing Ryan on Saturday, and then your client Anya's going to be doing the podcast as well. So she
doesn't know about it yet. Anya, you're doing a podcast.
I didn't say anything. I hope you should fucking listen to this. So yeah, it should be exciting, and then we will try and get some guests on as well, because I'm sure you don't want to listen to us bore yourselves. But as always, guys, we appreciate all the support. Lots of love. I'm just going to do a peace sign up because I just don't know what to end it with. Kissing, and I'll see you guys in a bit.